What's up, everybody? That's right. It is Friday, and you know what that means. It is time for another episode of Weebs of the Ring. Unfortunately, there is no vast stampede, only a walk-ins walk as we go into our go-home show of Smackdown, going towards Backlash France. And as always, we got a nice little intro because with anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a duel of weebs on this lovely Friday night. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling event of the evening. We're going to give our thoughts, our predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all nerds because, hey, we all love the art of professional wrestling here. So grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience like none other. Brought to you by AniMa W3 Studio. This is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. And as you see, there's only two of us tonight, and we are going to give you a good little show here in France. But to start off, we of course have Le Champion du Monde, Hawkins, and Les Tomber Cette Boîte, also known as Drop This Box from us here in America. I apologize for my horrible French, but Drop, how you doing tonight? And hopefully your French is a little better than mine.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk about I don't know if I can say excited because it is a typical go home show,
Hmm.
but I am looking forward to just giving my thoughts on the show overall.
Oh yeah, like it was quick little thing. It was a solid show. Nothing terrible with it. Just yeah, like Drop said, your typical go home show. But we had a few things going on. We had a few matches too, but I just want to point out really quick before we get into just the evening of everything. This crowd was red hot. Like they were molten hot, especially during the Cody AJ segment. But what are your thoughts right now just on the French on the French?
Well, definitely tomorrow you're probably going to see a lot more of that because typically when they go over to like a place that they're normally not at, the crowd
Hmm.
over there tries to show as much energy as they possibly can.
Yeah.
So I can't say that I'm like surprised that they're acting like that because normally when we get these kind of shows, like if they're going to Puerto Rico or if they're going to like um uh, just basically shows
Yeah,
outside of the US mainly, you just see a different
exactly.
reaction.
Hmm. But oh man, it's so awesome to see. Did you see I might have shared it in our Discord. There was some fan footage. I guess Jay Uso had a dark segment or a dark match.
Yeah,
Uh
I did see it online earlier because like
oh dude.
I guess one of the reasons why the people watching can probably see how like my body language isn't usually the way it is I did get spoiled on things that were going to
Mm,
be happening tonight because when I was at work and I was on my break and I was scrolling through Twitter because that's normally what I do just to see what's going on. I
yeah.
did happen to see what was going on.
Hmm.
So there was some things that I was like, okay, I'm just watching it now live so I can get the full context behind everything. But I
Yeah.
did see that and I saw like how I saw how loud the crowd was for him when he went out there. And that was
Hmm.
like a typical thing for a lot of them because I actually did manage to catch the press conference this morning when
Oh,
I was at
okay.
work. And they had like Bailey, Naomi, and Tiffany come out, Randy KO, and then they had AJ and Cody to close off the show. And the crowd was loud for each and every single one of them. Like when Tiffany came out, they were chanting Tiffy time. So
Hmm.
Tiffany's keeping her streak of being hot over international crowds. And then you
Yeah.
had when Naomi came out, they were chanting Glow. And then when you had Bailey come out, they were chanting that Bailey song. And then they were
Hmm.
singing Randy's theme. They were singing Cody's theme. Even after the music stopped, they were like singing a whole nother verse. And then
Oh
they were
yeah.
chanting AJ Styles. It's just that crowd in France was just on another level. It's just something that you
Hmm.
typically don't see, which is one of the other reasons why a lot of people just want WWE to be over at like events like this more often
Yeah.
because it just has a different feel to it. Because here's one of the things that I do notice when we get these kind of shows. And let's say, for example, maybe a show that they put out isn't as hot, but if you have a
Hmm.
crowd that can get behind it, that kind of like makes it feel more alive, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it's because I heard a lot of people saying, like, oh, even with the opening match that we had tonight with the girls, the crowd was hot. Whenever somebody came out, they were just giving a huge reaction because it's just showing like how much they love WWE.
Yeah, and especially the product now. I mean, kind of like what you were saying. Like these overseas shows have been crazy with these crowds. I mean, we had it with Backlash last year. We had it in London. We're probably going to be getting it in Berlin. Like all these international shows that we're getting have been just tremendous for the product. And you kind of wonder to yourself, you're just like, huh, why didn't they do this sooner? But then you remember who was in charge, and then you remember all that stuff going on, and then you're just like, oh, I don't want to think about this anymore. But yeah, so the crowd is red hot and all that, and hopefully you guys in the chat are red hot as well. Again, thank you for joining us on this lovely evening for the wrestles and the graps and all that. We're going to talk about SmackDown right now. We're going to break it down a little bit. Not like DX though, so you don't have to worry about any invasions and tanks and all that.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're gonna start with just our main event segment here of Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles finally having a face to face here, finally like getting to kind of talk to each other a little bit. And I'm not gonna lie, I, I kind of had a higher expectation for this part, but it wasn't like it was bad, but I thought there was going to be a little bit more shots fired between the two. I don't know. What were you thinking about this?
Here's the thing, like, when I looked at this AJ Styles and Cody feud, I
Mhm.
always felt like it's probably gonna have a lot more strings attached to it. Like, I don't think this is gonna be the only match that they're gonna have because you gotta look at the people that's involved in this feud right now. You got Cody and AJ, those are pretty those are 2 pretty big names. So, it would be kind
Mhm.
of a waste if you're like, "Okay, let's just do a match at Backlash and it's all over and done with." Like, I feel like something is gonna happen at Backlash that's gonna extend this feud even further because, like we've talked about on numerous shows already, there's a lot of history between AJ Styles and Cody, and I'm not sure
Mhm.
if you saw this clip floating online or whatever, but you even saw, Cody bring up the Bullet Club. They weren't
Yeah.
sugarcoating it, calling it something else like AEW does, or it's like Bullet Club Gold or whatever. Like like Cody literally said Bullet Club. When was the
Mhm.
last time that you ever saw that mentioned on WWE? The only phrase you
Uh.
ever heard of it is the club. There's
Yeah.
never bullet. So it's
Yeah.
like you want to dive deeper into AJ Styles and Cody's career. You even saw in the video package that they showed for their match at Backlash, you could
Mhm.
get more into that. You could have Cody tell stories on the indies. You can have AJ tell stories on the indies. You can have AJ go in depth with more with Dusty. I mean, he even brought up during the press conference that he had a match with Dusty and he beat him before. So you could add
Okay.
more layers to it. It doesn't have to just be one thing. So
Mhm.
going back to what you said before, that because this is why I brought all this up to begin with, is I just feel like since it's like a PLE and normally on WrestleMania season, Backlash buildup isn't like always like s- always the best. I
Right.
definitely feel like they're gonna extend this even more, especially since AJ stayed on SmackDown.
Mhm. I'm kind of yeah, I'm in the same boat as you with that. Like, I hope we at least get one more match between the two.
Yeah,
Even if it's just like AJ versus Cody in May. That's fine. That's totally fine. Give me at least two matches with these two because they can put on some gold. And I'll have to go back and look at the press conference stuff because I saw some of it going down. Like I saw what was it? Cody tried to do the too sweet with AJ, but AJ,
yeah.
kind of like what he did tonight, just dismissed it, except, tonight he got a little more physical with it. Um, yeah, I
That's the
mean,
other thing too, is
yeah.
that And don't get me wrong, I don't hate Cody at all. I'm a big Cody
Hmm.
fan. I love everything that he does. But there's a time and a place where maybe Cody doesn't always have to show respect for
Yeah.
everybody that he gets in the ring with. I understand that he's a gentleman and he goes by certain rules that he wants to follow and everything like that. Again, it's a part of his character. But at the
Hmm.
same time, you can't be like too supportive towards your opponent
Yeah. And
because
like,
you
oh
never
yeah, go
know
ahead.
what
Sorry.
sort of actions they're going to take.
Exactly. I mean, AJ kind of proved that tonight, by slapping Cody in the face when he was just trying to give him a little too sweet, bro. And to kind of tie into that too, like some of the stuff Cody kind of rebutted against AJ on. Well, first of all, it's kind of hard to hear because again, the French crowd were insanely hot, especially during this segment.
Oh yeah.
Um, but there was a moment here where like Cody was trying to say, you are phenomenal, but to me, you're the first. And it's just like, okay, so like you're acknowledging he's great, but you're also acknowledging the fact that he's only a stepping stone to you. Um, and oh shoot, I was watching what was it? Oh, so I actually had Unforgiven 2003 on last night, and there was a video package for Randy Orton versus Shawn Michaels that night, and there was a line that Shawn said, and
Yep.
it went something along the lines of, "If you're gonna use me as a stepping stone, you better step hard." And I kind of got those vibes with AJ during this promo.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm honestly just really curious to see mainly. Excuse me, I'm just starting to get over a cold. Um,
I get you.
I'm just really curious to see like where this is gonna lead to, because like I already
Hmm.
know the end result is Cody winning. I think that's a given, but I'm
Yeah.
really curious to see like how this match is gonna end to extend it further. Because I don't know
Hmm.
if you noticed, but we had a QR code play in
Oh,
with
during this segment.
yeah, 'cause I
Okay.
think it was when I don't know if it was it appeared somewhere in the show. I can't remember on the top of my head, but I
Hmm.
saw it where it was the QR code, it showed a video, and it showed a little bit of, like, Cody and AJ, and then
Okay.
it started cutting into, like, the Uncle Howdy stuff or, like, believe it,
Hmm.
believe this, believe that, believe, all of that.
Yep.
So, I don't know if this is gonna tie into it. I mean, it would kinda feel out of place if it did, because I don't know why
Hmm.
you'd wanna include Uncle Howdy with a Cody and AJ feud right now. That'd be
Yeah.
kinda
I
random.
I know I saw I wanna say I saw, like, a spark or, like, a glitch or something happen during, I know one happened during the 8-woman tag in the beginning.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's the one I'm
Yeah.
thinking of, I'm not sure.
But I wanna say there was one during the LA Knight match. I wanna say there was. I'd have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, there could have been, I can't remember.
Yeah, which, if you've been watching the show for the past few weeks, we haven't really I I don't really recall us really mentioning or talking much about the Uncle Howdy stuff, but at least me personally, I'm kind of waiting until like we get the reveal and it starts coming
Mm,
out and then kind of like tying everything together because there
yeah.
are a lot of threads that go with that.
We also have Eric Rowan coming back, so he
Yeah, he got.
recently signed with WWE, so we
Yep.
know there's gonna be some things factor in. Um, I also I don't know if we should save this a little bit later because I don't wanna get off
Mhm.
topic, but since this is the last SmackDown of the draft, I don't know if I bring this up if it's not gonna be off topic or anything.
Mhm.
It's basically a conversation about trades.
Oh
Actually, you
yeah.
know what? Actually, you know what? I'll save this for the Bloodline segment.
Ooh. Ooh.
But yeah, those are
Okay.
like but that's like mainly my overall thoughts on this. Like it's kind of hard for me to come up with a lot of things to say only because we haven't really had that much substance between the two. It was
Yeah.
mainly just like a number one contenders match to see who faces Cody. And then we
Hmm.
had like two segments with like Cody and AJ, and then that's it.
Yeah.
It's kind of really it's kind of hard to like go off of something like that. If it was like maybe a month build up and you had extra layers with that and everything, then that would be a
Hmm.
different story. But it's like just 2 weeks. All you could really talk about is like we want to see more. And I definitely feel
Yeah.
like with this pay-per-view and then probably King and Queen of the Ring, you'll probably see it again.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you
Yeah.
in that aspect. The only other thing I'd want to point out in this is that AJ is basically like his whole story right now is getting back to the top and getting back and reminding people why he is phenomenal. And it kind of gives me I don't know how people are going to take this, especially with how it went, but it kind of reminds me of S- Steve Austin back in 2001 when, he faced The Rock WrestleMania 17 is just like, I will do anything I can to get that title back. Like, it's kind of giving me those vibes again. Like, okay, I am willing to go to the deepest, darkest depths of hell just to get my prestige, get my honor back, kind of. So that's the only other thing I'd point out from this segment. But yeah, I mean, I kind of wish we got more build, but like we've been saying, we'll
Yeah.
probably get some more here, when we get our rematch with it and all that.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was kind of, basically our main event segment of the evening. But hey, we have some weekly stories to go by, some quick little moments here, some quick
Mhm.
interactions, mainly with Carmelo Hayes and Bobby Lashley, like quick little interaction where, Carmelo is talking with Nick Aldis and he's like, hey, I want to be in King of the Ring. I shot my shot. I'm going to keep shooting it. How do you feel about Carmelo Hayes being in the King of the Ring? Because we've talked about like who we think is going to win, but how do you feel about him possibly being part of this tournament?
I feel like it's a good opportunity to show what the dude's capable of.
Hmm.
Because they all start somewhere. They're not gonna just
Right.
rise to the top, get a title shot, and win the big one. Like Carmelo's not gonna have like a rematch against Cody and then win the title and just right off in the sunset, and that's the
Right.
rest of his career right there. Like Carmelo, they obviously see a lot of potential in Melo. They want to use him and put him at like they basically want the audience to know that Carmelo is going to be a big deal moving forward in the WWE. And like I spoke about before in previous shows, Carmelo has Carmelo's is going to be somebody that you're going to see in the next 10 years in WWE because I
Yeah.
believe he's like 28 or 29 years old. So even if he's in his late 30s and he's starting in his like 40s and stuff like that, he's still
Hmm.
going to be along. He's still going to be around. He's going to be a stable within the company, just like Braun Breaker. He's another one that's
Right.
going to be a big name moving forward. So putting himself in the King of the Ring tournament is a good way to display how far Melo can go in order to achieve
Hmm.
something. Is he gonna win it? We don't really know because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, we're saying Gunther, but you never know what sort of direction they could take. Maybe they wanna let
Exactly.
it cook a little bit more with Gunther, maybe wait a little bit longer before they decide to give him a title shot if he wins King of the Ring. Because,
Hmm.
yes, it makes sense because it's in Gunther's character to have a title like that. It just makes so much sense. He's known as the ring general. So
Yeah.
knowing if he wins a tournament and he becomes king of the ring, it just writes itself. But at the
Hmm.
same time, you never know if they want to give it to like a Mello or somebody like that where they want to catapult and bring them to new levels. I don't personally feel like Mello will win the tournament, but I feel like he'll get decently far because at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm not entirely sure how they're going to structure this thing. Because I remember in the past when they did the King of the Ring, it was normally like tournaments to see who can get in
Hmm.
it. And then once you get to the final two, that's when you crown the winner. So I'm not entirely sure how these matches are going to work. Like, are they going to have all these matches Monday and Friday, building up to that pay per view, and then we're
Hmm.
going to get the final two, and then they're going to face off, and then we're going to see who's going to win within that tournament, or is something else going to happen? Like they haven't
So
really fully said what they're going to do. We just know that
yeah.
Gunther put himself in it, Mello put himself in it, Sheamus put himself in it.
Yeah, Sheamus did. I want to say Drew did, but he's
Yeah,
also injured right now, so I don't know
yeah,
how
Drew
that's
did
gonna
as
work.
well. Yeah,
Now
but
I don't know if you saw this going around today, but I did hear like some rumblings that apparently we're getting the announcement of like the men's bracket tomorrow and then the women's bracket on Monday.
oh no, I didn't
And
hear about that. So that's how they're gonna
yeah,
build to it?
so yeah, so apparently they're gonna do like there's gonna be like a Raw side and a SmackDown side.
Oh, okay.
And I guess the winners of like those will face each other for King of the Ring.
Oh,
Um,
so a
yeah,
men's tournament on Raw and a men's tournament on SmackDown, and then it'll come to
basically,
the
yeah,
final. Oh, okay.
yeah. Which I mean, fair enough if you know you have two brands trying to solidify one King of the Ring for the company. Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense.
see here's what kind of sucks about that though, because you know how we were kind of fantasy booking Ilya Dragunov and Gunther in the finals.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
now,
yeah,
but hey, yeah, good.
oh, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, how are we
Hmm.
gonna get that? Because Gunther and Eli are on both brands.
Yeah,
Is that a legit report you said, or is it just a rumor?
I'd have to go back and see who the sources were that I saw it. I just remember seeing it while I was at work today.
Yeah. Oh,
But
okay.
that's just the rumbling that I saw. I mean, I'd have to go and check real quick.
Oh,
But
because I was gonna say, if they're doing it like that,
yeah,
I get it, but at the same time,
mhm,
if you really wanna put King of the Ring back on the map, the best way to do it is like Gunther and Ilya.
yeah. But see, here's the kicker though. If we do get like Gunther and Ilya, like let's say they're like the Raw finalist or whatever.
Mhm.
Let's say Ilya wins.
Yeah.
Let's say the SmackDown winner, Carmelo Hayes.
Oh, you can get like a
Mm-hmm.
4th match out of that. A
Yeah.
5th match.
So, but hey, that's just fantasy booking and all
Yeah.
that. So let
But
me, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but as a whole, though, just to get back on track, I
Yes.
personally believe that that would just be a good showcase for Mello, and also bringing up on the stuff since I see Bobby included in the notes.
Hmm.
I was sort of expecting that to happen sooner or later because I remember there was like so many people online fantasy booking like Carmelo being a part of this new faction with Bobby Lashley with the Street Profits. And then people were also trying to include Trick in it as well. But obviously,
Hmm.
Trick's probably not going to be coming up until next year.
No.
But I could definitely see potentially Mello joining that faction. But at the same time, it looks like he might start his first feud with Lashley, which is really interesting. Because that's a
Yeah.
pretty big target
Yeah.
that
Like
he's shooting his shot against.
yeah, I wanted to point that out too when we got back to it. Like, because the point you made about like the company trusting Carmelo right now, it's like okay, they trust him enough to be in there with Bobby Lashley, which you can say what you want about his booking now and how he's presenting now, but also got to remember, he is a former WWE champion.
Yep.
He is Bobby freaking Lashley, and so like he's not a slouch in the ring. He's not like some
Mm-mm.
pushover or anything. Like he is a force, and you might forget about that, but you'll get reminded. But to have Carmelo, feud with him and possibly beat him like that's huge. That's big, and it
Mm.
kind of ties in too. And call this fantasy booking, if you will, or whatever. Um, have Carmelo Hayes take the title from Cody.
That'd be pretty crazy if they
Just
went down that direction.
like I
I mean,
mean,
I'll be
yeah,
honest if I really don't know who's taking that title off of him.
I don't either, but like that. I
It's
mean,
definitely not Rock, so people need to stop putting
no,
that in their head.
please don't,
Rock
please
already
no.
got a pinball before. He could, you know, give put over Cody this time.
Yeah, but I do like how Bobby Lashley does give Carmelo Hayes just a little bit of advice, being like make sure you're careful about who you disrespect around here, because yeah, Carmelo just shoots down the offer that Bobby Lashley has to join him, and I kind of like that too because it just stays in character with Carmelo just being like, no, I'm gonna do my own thing. I left Trick Williams behind. He's in NXT. I'm just gonna keep on going because hey, Mello don't miss, but Bobby, you miss a lot of your shots. So yeah, I mean, this segment mainly was just to kind of tease us with this feud coming up and tell us, hey, Carmelo Hayes is possibly going to be part of King of the Ring. So, moving on to another story, because I am so excited that we finally get the RKO show. Like they're doubling down on the name and I just love it. And yes, I am going to be buying myself a t-shirt when we're done with the podcast tonight cuz
Yeah, I
I
was
need
thinking.
it.
I
I
was I was
need
thinking
it.
you were gonna do that.
Oh, yes I
As soon as
am.
I saw that, I already pictured in my head you were gonna go down that direction.
Oh, dude, I can't wait. I'm gonna spend that money. But yeah, so we have the RKO show tonight. Um no guests were announced before this, but we do find out through a backstage segment that Paul Heyman is gonna be a guest on the RKO show. Now he's back there talking to Nick Aldis, asking him, Hey, did you get my email? Did you get my memo? Did you get that thing I sent you? And he tries to warn him, hey, this is a different bloodline. Like Roman Reigns may have been your textbook heel. These guys are different. They're out for blood, and the only way to get this match off is if Paul Heyman is on the KO show. So, how'd you feel about Paul Heyman trying to go out here and tell RKO, hey, don't fight these guys. Like, stay away from them. And also, the revelation we got from Paul Heyman about Roman during all of this. Like, what? What? He hasn't talked to Roman since Mania?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think is up with that? What do you think is going on in this story right here? Like,
See, that's hard for me to
yeah.
say because I would have understood now because of what's
Hmm.
going on with the bloodline, and maybe he doesn't want to put Roman in a situation where he feels uncomfortable, so he's trying to look out for him. So I could
Hmm.
understand if we're talking about now as to why he decided to take him on a backlash. I mean,
Yeah.
not backlash, the draft. But looking at like how he hasn't talked to him since WrestleMania, that makes me really interested to see exactly like what happened around that time. Because
Yeah.
normally like Roman and Paul Heyman are usually in touch all the time.
Hmm.
So that makes me really curious to see like what happened at that point.
Yeah.
Like did Roman like was Roman in a different world after he lost that title where he just felt
Hmm.
down and he didn't want to talk to anybody anymore?
Yeah.
Makes me curious to see what led to that decision. Because if
I
we're
want.
talking about now, like I said, I would understand. Okay,
Yeah.
he doesn't know what the hell Solo's doing. He doesn't know where Tama Tonga came from. He doesn't know if anybody else is going to be coming into the picture. So
Hmm.
I would understand if this was brought up now. It's like, yeah, I haven't talked to him since Solo's just started turning into a different person. But
Yeah.
I'm more interested to see why they aren't talking now because it's just
Yeah.
weird.
And like I know we had the segment too, like a while ago, where Solo broke the Roman Reigns phone, but like that was
Yeah,
after WrestleMania. Like
yeah,
it was like a few days after WrestleMania, and the way Paul was talking is just like, no, we haven't spoken since that night. And I'm wondering if they're gonna tie in the little moment we saw with Roman and Paul on stage, where like he gave Paul a hug and all that, and like Roman obviously looked very emotional during that part, whether that was like real emotion or he was acting, whatever the case. But I'm wondering if they're gonna like tie that in a little bit. uh yeah, I mean, Paul's again, he's trying to stop this from happening. He's trying to be in control, but or not necessarily being in control, trying to rein in a little bit with everybody. And I mean, it kind of works, but kind of doesn't, because I mean, Solo and Tomatonga are just they're gonna do whatever the hell they want because they're following the orders of the tribal chief. whoever that may be, because even then we don't get the answer.
No, we don't know who it is.
Like Randy's
I
just
mean we obviously know who's running the show
yeah.
behind the scenes, which is probably Rock,
Hmm.
but we don't really know what else is going on.
Yeah. Like th- there's no leadership. There's no like well, I mean there is a leadership obviously, but it's just like everything's so in the shadows and in darkness right now. It's hard to really know who's calling the shots. Like where are we going with all this? Cuz I'm not going to lie. I was kind of shocked about that thing about Paul Heyman not talking to Roman Reigns. Like I know we're going back to that subject, but it's like I was legitimately shocked. Like I had to stop typing the notes for a second because I was staring at the screen like, wait, they haven't talked since Mania? Wait,
Yeah.
Paul Heyman pulled Roman Reigns from the draft so he didn't have to deal with the bloodline stuff? Which even then I'm just like, but they still drafted the bloodline, but whatever. That's nitpicking stuff at best, or at worst, I guess. Um but yeah, again, I am so happy we got the RKO show. These two have great chemistry together because like Randy's at that stage of his career where he just doesn't care. He just wants to go out there and have fun. And
Mm.
it's also kind of weird just knowing Randy Orton's past, like in and out of the ring. Just seeing him so happy go lucky babyface. I don't know. It's a little off putting for me. I don't know about you.
No, I get that because we
Hmm.
grew up seeing Randy Orton as like the savage heel where he used to do whatever the
Yeah.
hell he wants, which I feel like we probably will be getting that soon. I'm not entirely sure when
Hmm.
we're going to be getting that. I don't know if that's going to have to do with him and KO's relationship, and maybe that's when Randy decides to go off on his own, and then you get a little
Yeah.
mini feud with him and KO, and then Randy moves on to Cody because I feel like that's definitely another reason why Randy's on SmackDown because I want to tell that story between Cody and Randy since that's
Hmm.
probably the next big feud after Roman, I could say. Like, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that Cody can face right now that they'll still be incredible matches, but when you put on him and Randy together, there's a lot of rich history between the
Hmm.
both of them. So I don't know. Like I remember I was talking about this with Vash the other day. I was like, well, yeah, I can understand like why people cheer Randy because they love him and everything. But even if he turned heel, people are still gonna love him because that's just
Yeah.
the Randy people know the most. Because you seen the kind of stuff he did back then where when he had a feud with Triple H, he tied him down, he RKO'd Stephanie, gave her a kiss on the lips. He did
Hmm.
all of this screwed up stuff to Triple H to get under his skin. So don't think for a second he can't strike at any point.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is just he even said it. In RKO, he prefers to come out of nowhere. Like he even said it tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna strike whenever I want, and it's you're not gonna see it coming. Which maybe he can turn on Kevin Owens that way. Who knows? I am kind of hoping that within the next let's see, 12 almost roughly 14 hours. I'm kind of hoping in the next like 14 hours they add a stipulation to this match.
Yeah.
Especially because they were still beating each other up by the end of the night.
I'm
Like
honestly surprised these bloodline matches like don't get that many stipulations. Like don't get me
I am
wrong,
too.
regular matches are fine, but it's just when you add like stipulations into things, it just makes things much
Hmm.
more interesting.
Oh yeah, like even just a simple no DQ stipulation. Like depending on the talent, you can have like your Extreme Rules match just through a simple no DQ stipulation.
Oh yeah, that would have worked out perfectly fine.
Yeah. Hell, they could. I mean, again, they could still add it. They could still give it to us. I mean, it would be an interesting wrinkle for Backlash. Like, don't get me wrong, the matches that we have on the card look great on paper. It's just maybe something a little extra to throw in there, especially for those French fans over there who again are just like they are red hot. Like you had mentioned earlier, they were singing Randy Orton's song. Like I can't recall any crowds singing his song
No.
while he's going in.
I honestly don't ever remember people singing his song that much. Not saying he's bad or
Yeah.
anything, because he's not, but I don't ever recall ever hearing that.
I don't either. So that it to me, it kind of warmed my heart a little bit, and I'm sure it warmed Randy's heart a little bit. But man, I need that shirt. I need that. I will be ordering it after this. Like as soon as we're done, I am ordering that shirt, and
Oh, go!
hopefully it doesn't
Might
get.
as well.
Yeah, exactly. You're welcome, WWE. We gave you the idea. We gave you
You're
the
gonna
marketing.
And now you're gonna get Watkins money out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Are you proud of it? Are you happy now? I bet you are. I'll be happy too. So, but yeah, I mean, not too much more to say about it. Like, again, the story did kind of move forward and all that, and I mean, we had some good wrinkles too, especially with the Paul Heyman stuff, with him pulling Roman Reigns out of the draft. Like, that was something I was not expecting. And yet we still don't know who the tribal chief is. It's some mystery person. Maybe it's gonna be Hornswoggle, you know. He was a GM at a point.
That'd be funny.
It would be it'd be hilarious. They're just like, all right, bring out the tribal chief, and he just comes from like under the ring like he used to. And oh wait, he has long hair now, doesn't he?
Who?
Hornswoggle.
Oh, I haven't seen that dude in a long time, so I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I
Huh.
if he oh my gosh, because I have a picture in my head right now, so I'm hoping he has the long hair, because then he could just wet it and then like maybe get like fake tattoos on his arm or something. That'd be hilarious. Oh man. But one thing that's not hilarious though is being kicked out of your own team and not being able to fight at the top show event of the year, because we finally got the reason why Carlito
And now I can
turned
fucking.
on the LWO.
And something happened in my audio for a second. I
Uh-oh.
couldn't. I apologize for that.
Oh, you are more than fine. I just told everybody that, hey, Carlito finally told us why he attacked Dragon Lee, and his reasoning makes sense.
It makes sense because you got to think everything was all lined up for Rey Mysterio and Carlito to team up against Santos,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden you just have Dragon Lee come out there. So it kind of makes it feel like Carlito was just there, and
Yeah,
then since there's this new guy around town, Ray just wanted to put him underneath his wing. So it's almost like Carlito's playing second fiddle. He's like a third wheel and everything.
yeah,
So it makes sense why he gave an answer like this, because you could even tell with like the reaction he had on his face that he was just confused. Like, wait, what's going on?
yeah.
Carlito just works a lot better as a heel anyway, so I'm happy they went down that route too.
Hmm. And I like how, like, even though he's going to be a heel, he's well, actually, it's kind of more funny because now that he's a little more buff, now when he's doing like the chicken shit heel stuff, like scampering away during a fight, it's kind of funnier now because he's bigger. It's like, dude, you could probably clothesline him and do some good damage, and he'll be down for a bit. You
Oh
could
yeah.
do that, but no, he just kind of scampers away whenever he gets attacked. Which again, it's just kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, I see his sentiment. I see his reasoning. It's just like, okay, I came back. I want to have that big WrestleMania moment because I didn't get that my first time around.
Nope.
Let me get that more. Well, I mean, unless you count him getting beat up by Roddy Piper and Stone Cold, but that's a whole. That was like, oh my god, that was like third 20. Wait, no, 20. Yeah, like oh my god, that was 23 years ago. I hate life. Anyways, moving on from the ever growing age that I am, uh, Carlito, yes. I Do you think he's going to go after LWO one by one, or is he mainly just going to direct everything at Dragon Lee?
Um, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I feel like he might start at like 1 by 1 and then he'll work
Hmm.
himself up towards Ray.
Yeah.
'Cause it was kinda funny seeing him drafted to Raw, even though he's pretty much gonna be kicked out of, LWO,
Hmm.
and then you just have him there. It just made me laugh because I'm like, "Well, we see what's happening.
Yeah.
Why is
Like
he still there?" Just
I
weird.
I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of like that where they're just like, yeah, we'll draft all the LWO. Yeah, but one of the guys just beat up
Yeah.
the other one. We'll draft them all. It's fine. You know what? Maybe we're gonna play matchmaker with them, or like we'll mend some fences. Cause hey, we'll bring them all together as a unit. Like nobody excluded. They'll be fine. They'll be okay.
Yep.
Maybe I don't know. We'll see. I'm just again, like I said on Monday and Friday. Mainly Monday, I think. I'm just glad they're separated. I'm glad they are separated from the Legato,
Yeah.
but we can
Yeah,
move
because we
on
had
with
way too much of that feud. It's
it
time to
was
end it. Very
yeah,
it's much time to end it.
like we it was such a breath of fresh air. Santos got to interact with another person that wasn't Rey Mysterio. Like it oh man, it was just a breath of fresh air. It was so nice. But yeah, so most of our weekly stories kind of end there because hey, we got a ton of matches to kind of go through and talk about, and one such match started our evening. That's right, we had the big three of Jade, Cargill,
Uh,
Bianca, and Naomi, along with Bailey in tow. Your WWE Women's Champion. She's there as well. They faced off against Tiffany Stratton and Damage Control in a pretty good match. I think
yeah.
the only downside I had was Bailey took a lot of the offense from the heel team. I
Mhm.
don't know. It's just one of those things with like your women's champion. Why would you have her like take like so much abuse in your match and almost look weak? But I don't know. It was kind of a small thing to me, but it was something that I kind of took note of in my head.
No, I get what you mean because
Hmm.
she's the champion, so you would expect her to have more leverage in her
Yeah.
matches where she looks the strongest out of them all. So I
Hmm.
definitely get what you mean by that statement.
Yeah.
And it was also pretty interesting to see that whole dynamic between her and Bianca throughout this match as well. Because
Hmm.
I enjoyed the match. I thought it was fun, but I think what intrigued me more is what's going on between Bailey and Bianca. More Bianca at this point
Yeah.
because Bailey's accepted who she was before and she's trying to move on from it. And she understands the mistakes that she made into the past and she's trying to change to become a better person.
Hmm.
And Naomi sees that. That's why Naomi reached out to her because she wanted to help her when they were going up against damage control when they were building up to WrestleMania.
Hmm.
And Bianca's the only one that doesn't really wanna bother with Bailey at all, like, it doesn't matter if, like, Bailey's a changed person or not.
Yeah.
Bianca just wants nothing to do with her, and that makes me think, like, "Okay, are they gonna do something with this? Are they gonna have Bianca go down, like, this new, character arc where
Hmm.
she's gonna have, like, a shift in her character where she might potentially turn heel or something?" Because she's been giving, like, a lot of heelish tendencies lately,
Yeah.
and just based off of, like, how she's treating Bailey, like, I get how she's treating Bailey
Hmm.
because of what happened in the past, and I understand that it's kinda hard to move past that, and it's kinda hard to really
Yeah.
trust Bailey after what happened, but at the same time, it's like, if you still have this mindset in your head, you're never gonna really move on and try to at least patch things up with Bailey because you
Yeah.
look at it how it is in real life too. You have that person you butt heads with, and then eventually you sit down and talk and try to resolve things. But I don't know if it's really gonna head down that direction because maybe Bailey wants I feel like I can definitely see Bailey trying to reach out to Bianca and try to patch up things and everything.
Hmm.
But at the same time, Bianca doesn't wanna do that because she just wants nothing to do with Bailey. Like, she
Yeah.
always keeps saying, "Finally, after this, we can be over and done with Damage Control." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, because Damage Control is on Raw now, but at the same time, Bailey's also not a part of that group anymore.
Hmm.
So what are
Well,
you gonna
like,
do with Bailey now? Because you guys are on the same brand, you're always gonna see her. That's the main
mhm,
title that you're gonna go after if you ever want an opportunity."
yeah. Like Bianca's in this in she's in this very interesting spot because like you were saying, Naomi's friends with Bailey. Jade Cargill, she's new here and she didn't really have to deal with damage control a lot. It was mainly Bianca, and a lot of the forefront of the damage control issues that Bianca had were Bailey related. Like there was the
Mhm.
never-ending feud with her and Bailey, which ended with that last woman standing match. So
Yep.
there was that part. There's just even after that they didn't stop. Io Sky comes in with the Money in the Bank briefcase, cashes in on her, and there's Asuka's part of Damage Control. We all know the feud that Bianca and Asuka had last year.
Mhm.
Kyrie Sane, I mean, I know she hasn't done much with Bianca, but she's still associated with them. So, like, I do like, especially in that backstage segment where, like, Bianca, when she was going off about damage control, like, she wasn't talking to the interviewer with her.
Yeah.
Like, we see the camera kind of pan over and like Bailey and Naomi are there, and like Bianca is like looking at Bailey. And because at first, you see Bianca looking like off screen a little bit like this, and you think, oh, well, Bailey's just walking by. No, Bailey was actually like sitting there. Like they were like hanging out afterwards a little bit. Like,
Yeah, she heard the whole entire conversation.
yeah,
And it's
like
not like yeah.
Bianca did not like let up at all. And it's gonna this is gonna give a good wrinkle, a little like this is just planting that seed even more because like this not only plants that seed for like the Bianca Bailey confrontation we'll end up getting, but this is just something else that can add to that Bianca Jade Cargill feud that we're gonna get. Because hey, why are you being such a bitch to this girl? I'm new here, yeah, but like you can learn to forgive. Like I can just tie into that story a little bit, and it's I like when things tie together like this.
Yeah, and I'm also glad that you brought that up
Hmm.
because, I feel like that's definitely the direction they're gonna be heading down whenever they eventually do that feud between, Bianca and, Jade Cargill, because
Hmm.
something's definitely gonna happen. Because something's definitely gonna be happening with their relationship where it's like, okay, Jade's starting to see a different side of Bianca because
Yeah.
before her and Bianca were like best friends, but now Bianca's just being a bitch and she's trying to
Hmm.
run things the way that she wants to do them, and she doesn't really give a shit what anybody else has to say. And I sort of feel like Bianca needs to be the heel in this match anyway if she wants to put Jade over. But at
Hmm.
the same time, I'm a big fan of character change when it comes to like trying to go down a different direction of a character.
Yeah.
So if Triple H really wanted to, he could bring Bianca into a new light and we could potentially see her turn heel and see what sort of direction she goes down,
Hmm.
because we haven't really seen that side of Bianca ever since like the black and gold NXT days, like when she was down in NXT and she was I think I remember it was when Charlotte appeared on NXT. I think that
Oh
was when she
yeah.
had that
You
feud.
don't even go here.
And I remember Bianca was there getting into Charlotte's face and just like, "Hey,
Hmm.
this is our show. Why are you over here trying to make it seem like you're the queen of NXT now?" Like just pretty much up in
Yeah.
her face saying a whole bunch of shit. So I definitely feel like this is gonna head into like a direction like this where I highly doubt it's gonna happen now because I feel like they're gonna get a decent run with those tag titles.
Hmm.
But I feel like eventually down the line, that's what's gonna lead up with the breakup between the 2. Like,
Yeah, oh yeah.
that's what I took from that segment. It's like, because of the decisions that Bianca makes moving forward, like, you're probably gonna get little bits and pieces of it.
Hmm.
It's gonna, like, change how Bianca is as a person, if that makes any sense. It's
Yeah.
kinda like she's feeding in too much to, like, that dark side of hers where it's like
Hmm.
normally she can be like normally she could be like very happy and getting along with Jade and Naomi like she's been doing. But
Yeah.
then it's gonna come to a point where she's at her breaking point. And I wouldn't be
Hmm.
surprised if like Jade calls her out on it, she gets pissed off, and then she gives like a KOD to Jade, lays her
Yeah.
out.
What so this kind of fantasy booking, fantasy pitching, whatever whatever term you want to use. But I'm kind of thinking now, so when they win the tag titles, every defense and every match they have it always be Jade getting the pinfall. Cause then like I don't know, that's just like a good seed to plant to be like, okay, Bianca, yeah, you're part of the team, but you're not getting the winning part of the team, and then like this might be a little bit of a stretch too, but like maybe have Bianca lose like a couple singles matches outside of their tag
Mm,
team matches and all that, like kind of getting into her head, like getting that doubt into her head, being like, okay, I know I'm not this bad. What's going on? Like this whole and that kind of ties into with like the whole change of attitude because it's like, okay, now that she's not being as happy or like being as positive as she used to be,
mm.
it's kind of affecting her in ring work now. So it's like, okay,
Yeah,
well, now what can I do? And so that's just like a little thing they could always add to it with as well. But I there was one thing I wanted to bring up because I was watching so Cultaholic does like pitch videos for each pay-per-view event and all that. So like they'll do 9 pitches and whatever. And one
mhm,
of the guys had a very interesting pitch, and I want to pick your brain about it real quick because
okay,
I have a feeling we all think Jade and Bianca are going to win the tag titles.
yeah,
Um, so the pitch here is, yes, have them have like a really long reign with the tag titles and all that. They beat just about every single team on the roster. And hell, they actually end up beating every single team on the roster. And so let's say like maybe Triple H comes out and is just like, all right, you two I'm not gonna do that the whole time, but you
I
two
know.
have beaten I just did it again. But anyway, you two have both beaten every single women's tag team here. Because no other team can beat you for these titles, screw these titles. Let's merge these titles together into that ever lovely what were we calling it? Oh, women's mid card title. And
Yeah, I
have
mean,
Jade and Bianca face each other to
I'm not
merge
against it
into
because
yeah.
I'm not against because it's almost like the idea is there. They already know that a lot
Hmm.
of people want it because they have it on NXT now. So they obviously
Yeah.
hear the voices online that people want something different. And they got rid of the NXT women's titles on NXT, and now they have like a mid card title, which, like I
Hmm.
spoke about before, and makes sense. And I'll just go off topic just for like a
Oh,
minute
you're good.
or
You're
30
good.
seconds talking about this because oh, hello,
Jacob
Jaco.
Robertson.
Hello, Jacob Robertson. How are you doing, man?
Hopefully, you're
But
having a good night, Jacob.
getting back to what I was saying, just to go off
Yeah.
topic for just like a few seconds or so.
Oh no, by
Um,
all means.
the reason why I'm not against that is because I'm just going to use NXT for example because I'm going to look at
Hmm.
how they're going to structure this. So so NXT is going to have the Women's North American Championship in a ladder match at what's the next pay per view called Battleground.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be like a 6 woman ladder match for the for the North American Women's Championship. I'm just gonna call it the
Mhm.
women's mid card title.
Yeah.
And well, it's so hard to say the whole name. It's like a big tongue
Oh, no, I
twister.
get it. Yep. It is.
But it's like I mainly just get the point. I feel like they're gonna use that title to
Mhm.
build up mid card talent. So then when that mid card talent ends up breaking, ends up losing that title, they can eventually move up to the main event scene. I feel like they can do the exact same thing if they decide to introduce something like that on the main roster where they have a mid card title and they have
Mhm.
people feud over it and everything. And then once that person loses the title, they have a lot of credibility underneath their belt. Then they can move on to the main event scene as well. So I feel like at least you can give other women's like equal opportunities. So if nobody's up there, if like Bailey and Charlotte and Becky and all of them, at least you
Mhm.
could have like a Mia Yim or Tegan Knox or a Natalia
Mhm.
feuding over a title like that.
Or even, oh no, Shayna Baszler. I
Yeah,
man,
that's
please
another one.
give Shayna a good title, please. I need it. I want it. Uh Apparently Batista's returning to Backlash tonight, so thank you for the scoop, Jaco. Really appreciate it. Or Jocko. Wait, are you Jocko? Or no, that's Dragon Ball Jocko. Anyways, but okay, cool. Yeah, because like I heard that pitch on Cultaholic's video, and I'm like, man, I gotta see how others think about this because this is an interesting idea. Because I don't think we've ever seen like an idea of like two tag titles, like the same tag titles, just coming together as just one singles title. Like that's that's a very interesting concept and like can tie into a really good story. Not only just the story that they're telling that they could be telling of like Bianca and Jade and their friendship and end up splitting and all that, but like just even becoming like the first ever women's intercontinental whatever BS championship name they want to use. Like I don't know, there's just a lot of history that they could do with that, and WWE is just they're a company that loves to tell a lot about their history. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, and I mean, again, we had touched, about Bianca and Bailey's story throughout this match. Continuing on with all that they do, but a couple things I do want to at least point out from this match. First of all, Naomi, your gear was awesome. Like, have those colors of the French flag really good. Like, they mesh so well with her style
Oh yeah.
um of ring attire. So, I don't know, just wanted to give a quick shout out to that. But there was one move, this one move in this match that made me go, "Huh, that was some offense." It was this moment where Kyrie takes Bailey, and so she tagged in Asuka, I think, at this point, and Asuka goes onto the top rope, and like she kind of like bends over and smacks her butt a little bit, and then Kyrie takes Bailey and just rams her head right onto Asuka's butt, and I saw this happen, and at first I'm thinking, huh, that's interesting. And then my second thought was, this looks like something that they would do in a house show.
Yeah.
And then I think back to like some of the clips I've been seeing lately of their house shows, and I'm like, oh my god, they've been doing this at house shows so much. Not only just them, but with Rhea Ripley doing the stink face and all that. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of booty, um, a lot of booty offense going on, boo
I'll
fence, if you will.
I'll be honest with you, I did not
Like,
notice that.
oh my gosh. No, it was like it was one of those times where because I had to like type something in the notes and I look up and I just see this happen. I'm like, huh, all right then. That happened. That was a thing. Uh, so yeah, that's how we're building up our women's matches for Backlash. Hey, at least 2 out of the 5 matches that we're getting are women's matches. So that's something good. That's some progress being made. So from one tag match to another, we had New Catch Republic versus AOP. Now, this got set up on NXT this week. Did you watch NXT this week by chance?
No, I ended up missing it. I saw a couple
Ah,
highlights.
okay. Did you hear how this tag match got set up?
I I bel-
Hmm.
the New Catch Republic and Authors of Pain.
Yes, yes.
I thought it got set up because they got attacked last week.
Yeah, so it's like they got attacked last week, and then Newcastle Republic ended up costing AOP the NXT tag titles
Oh,
on
okay.
NXT.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. Oh yeah, I remember seeing clips of like Tyler Bate getting attacked or something.
yeah. Oh yeah, no, last week they were attacked by it was all of the Final Testament, like just beating them up. But yeah, we finally get their match here, and this was pretty good. Like I'm rarely disappointed in a New Catch Republic match, and this one again did not disappoint. I think the only issue may have just been maybe you should have had New Catch Republic win, but that's just me personally because I also heard the crowd when AOP won and they just kind of died. But
Yeah.
I mean, there was some good action in this match though, wasn't there?
Oh yeah. If I have to choose like a match that like really stood out to me, it'd probably have to be this one.
Hmm. Oh yeah, because like again, I mean, I like this too with AOP where it's like they're powerhouses, they're big husky boys and all that, but they also can take offense. Like they're not just big tanks or anything. Like, Tyler Bate, he did his like slingshot clothesline thing that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Um and like that actually took down one of the authors of pain. Like it wasn't just like oh, he's wobbly, he's about to go down. Oh no. Like I kind of like how they're still like relatively human in that aspect, I guess. Or at least like not as not as weak or strong or whatever. But yeah, I mean, Newcastle Republic were just all over them in this match, and the crowd were so behind them too,
Oh yeah.
which I don't blame them at all. I mean, they're kind of from the area, somewhat, maybe couple hour plane ride, I think. I think just I don't know, man. I'm still struggling to get behind the Final Testament. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like a lack of charisma from like Karen Cross's end. Like
Like
Because Paul Ellering hasn't even barely said a word since coming
my
back with them.
my main issue with this
Hmm.
is they're not really being built up as dominant as they should be. Because I
Yeah,
remember when we first saw this at the beginning of the year, a lot of us were saying, okay, this is Cross's last chance to really make a statement. And you
yeah,
were looking at how the people, and you were looking at the people that he was bringing in. You're like, okay, I can get behind this because the authors of pain were always awesome, especially when they were like back in NXT all those years ago. They were a very dominant fraction, especially with
hmm,
Paul Ellering, because with him there, he helps push them because he's pretty much the speaker for them. But you
yeah,
always need a manager with you when it comes to certain superstars in order to get them over. But with like Karrion Cross, that's why part of me felt like he should have won that match at WrestleMania to keep that momentum
hmm,
going. Because you can't just like start a feud with like someone randomly on Raw and then expect people to like have faith in you. Like you got to have some momentum under your belt because they have potential to grow and become a thing. It's just really hard to care about them because of how they're being built up in front of us right now.
yeah. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like they're trying to be built like they're trying to be booked as killers and as like these forces to be reckoned with, but they just don't feel it. Like I don't feel it. If it honestly, I feel bad by like putting most of it on Karrion Cross, but he is such a charisma vacuum.
But yeah,
Like If this was just the authors of Pain with Paul Ellering, then fine. Everything would be fine, because that's the thing. Like, he would talk for them, but in most of those packages too, they at least said a few words as well. They, granted, their words and their sentences were more like enhancers to the promo to just kind of like give it that exclamation point, but like they worked good as a team in the promo sphere, and especially with Paul Ellering just kind of leading them in all of that. And then like now we have Karrion Kross, which like he's had a couple good promos in like digital exclusive stuff and all that. But see, there's your other problem, is like you're putting all that stuff on like these exclusive things where it's like, okay, yeah, you're gonna get your numbers up for YouTube by putting something like this up, but you're not doing it on TV, which is maybe the most important part, because a lot more people watch your product on TV, I want to bet, than they do on social media,
Yeah.
or I don't know. I could be wrong with that as well. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, again, this was a really good match, I thought. Spot of the night, or not spot of the night, maybe spot of the match for me was, well, I think it was Corey on commentary. He just he calls Tyler Bate the big strong boy, and he is a big strong boy because he got one of the authors of Pain up for that airplane spin. Looked
Hmm.
glorious doing it.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. It's probably my favorite match out of the night because it had like
Oh
most
yeah.
most of the spots.
And plus the crowd was like intense for this match. They were like, it was almost like the crowd and New Catch Republic against AOP. Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
they were they were crazy tonight, man. Uh but yeah, I mean, simple tag team match, simple players going on, simple moves going on. Well, not so simple, because hey, that double team move of AOP's is kind of, I mean, it's not too simple, but it's devastating, and it left New Cats Republic with the loss, unfortunately. But from one match that had some setup to another match that kind of didn't. I don't remember any setup for this, but I digress. We had LA Knight versus Angel Garza,
Oh yeah,
which,
that one just came out of nowhere.
yeah, it just like I heard LA Knight's music hit, and I'm like, oh, he's coming out. Is he gonna talk? Oh, he's in ring gear. Who's he facing? Commercial break. Come back. Oh, here's Legado del Fantasma just standing there forever. I'm like, oh, he's facing Angel Garza. Oh, okay. So this is gonna be a glorified squash match, or a match that should be on Speed, which is on X, by the way, Twitter. Which they just crowned their first champion for Speed. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Like
It
quick
was
little tangent
Ricochet.
there. Yeah. You saw the belt for it, right?
Yeah, it looks alright. Looks all right.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people, I saw a few people comparing it to one of TNA's belts that they had to do. Like, apparently they just like slapped a sticker on the belt because something happened with it or something, but their world title had a giant sticker on it, and I guess it kind of looked like the Speed title. I don't know, but yeah, that was a short little tangent because hey, LA Knight is here. Yeah, he's gonna beat up Angel Garza. Yeah, he's gonna get on the microphone and say, "Yeah, I'm part of the King of the Ring tournament." So hey, he's gonna be part of it, and sounds like Santos Escobar is gonna be part of it too. How are we feeling about these two new additions to the King of the Ring tournament?
I'm fine with LA Knight being a part of it. Gives them something to do in the next pay per view.
Mm-hmm. And again, just I'm glad Santos is finally interacting with somebody else other than Rey Mysterio. Like, yes, let him interact with LA Knight. Let them have banter back and forth, because they were having some good one-liners against each other. Like, Santos had mentioned, oh, just hey, you talk too much. I'm gonna, basically saying he's gonna win King of the Ring, but nah, LA Knight LA Knight had his number. Like, whoa, what was the one liner? What? Yeah, here we go. When I stop talking, that's when you get stomped. Like it's one of those short, simple lines that just means so much more, you know.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, again, not much to say about it because it was a match that came out of nowhere, and really the match was only to just kind of give us this tournament feud, I'm gonna call it, between LA Knight and Santos Escobar, which, you know, if they end up fighting each other in the tournament, fine, great. Like we're like this is what I love about tournaments, like things like King of the Ring or like hell, I'm watching Dragon Ball right now, and I'm almost to the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament, which oh, I love that shit. But like there are I love tournaments that because there's always a different story with each round or like different people and all that. So like I'll take that 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament for example. Like you had the story of what was it? Well, Goku had to fight some nobody, whatever, bull crap. But like you had Tien and Yamcha, for example. Like it was all about Tien, you know, putting that stamp like I am this badass. I am going to hurt you, Goku. I am going to hurt you, Jackie Chun. Do not fight me because I will break your leg like I did Yamcha. And for Yamcha, his whole story was like, oh, I need to prove myself because now that I've trained with Master Roshi, I need to show that I can do something, that I can be somebody, that I can make it farther than I did last year. And unfortunately, he didn't. But like there was like a mini story with that. And then like there's the story with like Master Roshi, like wanting to pass the torch down to Tien and all that. Like there's so much like like little stories you can get in a tournament. And that's one thing I'm hoping and I'm gonna love if we do that with this King and Queen of the Ring tournament, like these little feuds within the entire tournament, because again, that just makes the tournament so much better.
Exactly.
Had to take a quick swig, everybody. But yeah, after my little tournament rant and all that, we have another match. We have one more match, actually, it looks like, because we have the tag team title match. We have A Town Down Under defending their titles against the Street Profits. How'd you feel about this match going into it?
Um, I mean, to be fair, I I guess I didn't really care that much about it,
Yeah. Yeah.
only because it's like I mentioned before. This is a lot of these shows we've been getting is just a whole bunch of put together shows because
Hmm.
they're trying to they're trying to like get backlash out of the way so they can finally start setting things in motion
Yeah.
on Monday. So to me, I thought it was all right. I mean, there's not much I could really say about it, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's
Like
kind
the
of the
like
yeah.
those that's like my overall thoughts on SmackDown as a whole. Like I thought it was
Yeah.
like a decent SmackDown for like a go home show and everything. But I know they're not trying to put as much effort into these shows because, like I
Hmm.
mentioned earlier, there's not really that much substance between AJ and Cody. But for that very reason, they're probably going to do another match for them so they can add more depth to it so we can make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people in the community agreed that yes, they should definitely have another match with each other. So with all these other matches being thrown together, I
Hmm.
could see them leading down different directions. Like you got Jade, I'm not gonna like the matches that we see on Backlash, you know, Jade and Bianca.
Yeah.
Eventually we can see their title reign going. And then Bailey, Naomi, and Tiffany, we could see Tiffany and Bailey maybe extending their feud a little bit longer. Maybe Bailey and Tiffany have like a one-on-one feud. That'd be pretty interesting to see.
Ooh.
And then with other things that I'll get into later, y- I'm seeing Backlash more as like a build up to
Hmm.
King and Queen of the Ring and so on for all these matches that we have on the card.
Yeah. And like and I mean even kind of with this tag team match, like again, it was fine. It did what it had to do. And there's also room for a rematch too,
Hmm.
where
Oh
maybe
yeah,
Street Profits can win that, but yeah, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. It's just like, this SmackDown, it was, again, just a go home show for Backlash, which, that's fine and dandy and all that, but it didn't really do too much. Yeah, it just kind of set up what we're expecting to be happening later on down the road. Especially with, again, King and Queen of the Ring coming up, possible rematches for some of these titles. We're getting to me, this feels like Backlash has always felt like an epilogue kind of pay-per-view, where it's like,
yeah,
okay, you had your big triumphant moment at WrestleMania, but like some stuff still has to happen at the end. Like there's still some fallout, some aftermath. Let's get our falling action from everything, which we're kind of getting, but it's also like another start too for a lot of people. So like where like the falling action, I guess, would be maybe like Bianca and Jade versus Damage Control with that part.
yeah.
Because like even though they could float between brands, two of them are technically on SmackDown. So like this is basically the end of Damage Control, hopefully for Bianca. But like so we're having that falling action, but we're also having like some setup too for like Cody's reign or like the stuff with like Damian and Jey Uso, for example. So it's like you have this SmackDown show where it's like, okay, this is going home for Backlash, but like it also kind of had that house showy feel. So like again with like that 8-woman tag match, like that, it kind of felt like a house show match. Which don't get me wrong, that's fine and dandy, but not something that was like on the level of TV. But it was still fun nonetheless. And yeah, I mean, SmackDown was SmackDown. it
Yep.
was it was fine. It was all. I wouldn't say it was awesome, but it was good. It was fine, and that kind of leads us now. So we're not going to do a separate episode for our predictions for Backlash, just because
Yeah.
for one, timing, especially with it being at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, kind of rough timing for us as well. So we're just gonna kind of go down the card right now and talk about our predictions and thoughts about Backlash going forward. So let's start with our women's tag team title match. Again, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus the Kabuki Warriors. Drop who you think is gonna win, and if you want to say why not tell the audience why?
I feel like Jade and Bianca are gonna win these titles
Hmm.
only because one, we don't really want to see Bianca deal with Damage Control that much longer because that storyline has been going on for 2 years, and they've been really trying to build Jade and Bianca. And I feel like in order to build off of Jade and Bianca's story, this would be
Hmm.
a good way to do it by them winning the women's tag team titles. That way, if you ever have a breakup, it could be, oh, okay, now we have some tension. And because of that tension, now we have them losing the titles and then now they're feuding.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm kind of in the same boat. Jade and Bianca kind of just writes itself. It's kind of just they're ready for the taking, and they could also, they could elevate the belts for a bit. They could maybe go with the cultaholic way of doing things and merge the belts together because women's tag division, sorry, you're kind of it's whatever for you. Again, I
Yeah,
feel
right.
bad, but yeah, it's whatever. So moving on now to the women's WWE title match. We got triple threat action. Bailey defending her title against Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. Who do you think's gonna win, and perhaps why?
I feel like Bailey's gonna win because I don't really see her dropping the title that soon.
Hmm.
I feel like Bailey's probably gonna have a good enough run because she's been very selfless and she's been trying to help build a lot of other talent. So I feel like it's only right if she has a good title reign with this.
Hmm.
I don't really see like with Naomi. I I um I just can't see it.
Hmm.
Tiffany, I feel like it's way too early, and she's also like a perfect candidate for Money in the Bank.
Oh yes,
So
yes.
I
Give
feel
her
like
Money in the Bank.
because Tiffany's eventually gonna win a world title. You just have to
Mhm.
take your time with it because timing's like always key with a lot of things.
Oh, that it is. That it is. And man, I there was part of me that wanted to say Naomi, and that's mainly because of Jade and Bianca winning earlier in the night. Um, but maybe we can get that down the road. I don't know, but I I kind of have to agree with you here. I think Bailey's going to take the win. I think, her dropping so soon after Mania would kind of I don't want to say would ruin that moment, but it would kind of lessen that moment of her winning at Mania because it's just like, oh great, you won the title at Mania. You won the Royal Rumble, you won the title. That's great. Only lasted a couple weeks, but hey, you did it. You got that moment. Almost Zack Ryder esque from Mania
Yeah.
32. Like,
Yeah, and I feel like Bailey's just much bigger than that, so I can't really see them
yeah.
dropping the ball with her, especially since she's an original Triple
Hmm.
H girl.
Yeah. Plus, again, like there's so much storyline potential with her holding on
Yeah.
to that title longer. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So, yeah, Bailey for the win with this one. We got RKO versus Solo Sikoa and Tamatanga. Drop who you got and
I'm gonna go
perhaps
with
why.
I'm going with the bloodline mainly because with this
Mhm.
new iteration of the bloodline, it only makes sense to keep them strong, especially if like Rock wants to bloat about it and be like, "Well, look at how I brought the bloodline now compared to you, Roman. Like they're actually on a high winning streak. They're not losing
Yeah.
matches. They're actually like a legit threat." And
Hmm.
I can't see them losing a match. It feel kind of weird because it's like you're trying to take the bloodline down a different direction. Why would you want to treat them as a joke and just lose a match?
Yeah.
Especially with it being Tamatonga's first match, you want to showcase him very well too.
Hmm. And that's kind of why I'm hoping a stipulation gets added to this
Yeah.
because I feel like with that you could really showcase Tamatanga, and also it could lead into something else that a lot of people are also kind of I don't want to say calling, but a lot of people are speculating that Jacob Fatu is going to be debuting this weekend as well.
Yeah,
S-
I've seen that.
So he could either debut in this match or he can debut in another match that we're about to get to, costing somebody a certain title. I don't know. Who knows? We'll get to that when we cross it. But yeah, I agree. I think the Bloodline's gonna take this win. Um, I don't want to say it kind of sucks because KO and Randy, they're at that point in their careers where like they can eat a loss like this because you're really building up that next threat, that next like major threat towards everyone in the WWE and for like other titles and championships and like moments as well from people. So like Kevin Owens and Randy Orton are perfect for that role where like, okay, we're gonna help Tamatonga look good and Solo's gonna just keep winning, keep building himself back up, and like what you were saying, just like showing us that this new bloodline is a lot better than the old one because maybe they're more focused or more aggressive, whatever have you. But yep, looks like we both have the bloodline for this match. And moving on from the bloodline, one person is getting a big old title shot because for the world heavyweight title, we have Damian Priest defending against Jey Uso. Drop who you got and why.
I have Damian Priest because
Hmm.
I feel like this is probably when Jacob Fatu is gonna make his debut.
Yep.
And this is when I'm gonna get into what I spoke about earlier in the beginning of the episode, where I feel like trades might getting involved. And what I
Hmm.
mean by that is they said that everything would be finalized on that Monday. That's when everything locks in.
Right.
And we obviously know that Jay's gonna be we obviously know that Jay's gonna become a part of this bloodline story because it only makes sense once Roman comes back and once Jimmy comes back, the three of them are gonna be together. And
Yeah.
since everybody else is on bloodline, it would make sense if after this Jay gets fed up and he's like, "Hey, every time I have a title opportunity, it's either Jimmy or whoever trying to cost me the match, and I never really get a fair shot. So now Jay's gonna get frustrated, and he's gonna want to head over to SmackDown to like handle business with the
Hmm.
Bloodline, and you already have KO and Randy Orton dealing with the Bloodline, and it's mainly like a 2-on-2 now. But when you have Jacob Fatu get into the picture, now it's going to be a 2-on-3. So in order to make it an equal playing field, you could bring Jey Uso over to SmackDown. Like you can trade him over there,
Hmm.
and you could have it be like an equal playing field where it's like a 3-on-3, and you could have the three of them together until the time is right where you eventually get Roman or at the very least Jimmy back,
Hmm.
where they're battling up against this new bloodline. That's how I
Yeah.
feel it's going to happen. But you also got to factor in who's going to be an equal trade for Jay. It can't be somebody like Bronson Reed
Hmm.
for Jay or something like. Oh no, not like Jade. What Jay for Nakamura? It can't be
Right.
something like that. It has to be somebody that's at a equal level as yeah, it has to be someone at an equal level
Hmm.
like like Jey Uso.
Yeah.
And there's only a few people that I can really think of that's like on SmackDown that they could choose. One of
The
them is LA Knight
Yep. He was the
because
first one that came to my mind.
because I can say that LA Knight is at a equal star power when it comes to Jey Uso, where like people care about him. And if you
Yeah.
wanted to do a trade for LA Knight and Jay, it would make sense. Nobody would be upset with that because I
Hmm.
look at it like this, and this is me going into like my fantasy booking. So let's say, for example, you had everything I said play out, and then you trade Jade over to SmackDown so we can continue that storyline with the Bloodline.
Hmm.
Hmm. And then you have LA Knight go on to Smack. You got LA Knight head over to Raw. And who do you think he has unfinished business with when it came to the Money in the Bank last year? Damian Priest.
Hmm.
Because for that very reason, Damian Priest cost him his opportunity to win Money in the Bank that year. Like LA Knight was so close, he was about to grab it and become
Hmm.
Mr. Money in the Bank, and then Damian Priest came up there, he tossed LA Knight off the ladder, and then he became Mr. Money in the Bank. So now Priest has the title. So if LA Knight really wanted to, he could be like, okay, I want to make an impact on my first night here or whatever. Or let's
Hmm.
say, for example, he wins King of the Ring and he wants to set his shot at Damian Priest. He can easily
Yeah.
do that. Because at least with the world title, it's actually believable that LA Knight has a fighting chance to win a
Yeah.
title like that. Because
Hmm.
with Cody having the title, I don't really see Cody losing that title for a long time.
Yeah.
Especially with like the feuds he already has planned out, like with Rock whenever the match happens. So I feel like it would make sense if you had LA Knight come over to Raw. There's honestly not anyone else I could think of. AJ wouldn't because it really wouldn't
Hmm.
make sense if you're going to continue him and Cody like we spoke about in the episode. So I feel like
Yeah.
if there's going to be a trade, I feel like Jay for LA Knight is honestly the one that makes the most sense. I can't really think of anybody else that actually makes sense. You can't do a Santos or whoever else is on SmackDown
Hmm.
or a Lashley or a Mello because now you have Mello and Braun on the same brand and that doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. You want to have them on separate brands because then that whole roster is like way too loaded.
I
And you
was
also
gonna.
want to keep Carmelo and
Yeah.
Braun separate for quite some time until they eventually meet face to face again.
Yeah. I was almost about to throw Orton's name in there, but then I was just like, wait, no, we have to have him and Cody in their
Yeah.
feud, so he can't move. Uh, I want part of me wants to say KO, but I don't know. KO might be a
Only
little bit down.
the only
At least
reason
at least in
why I
star power.
Yeah, the only reason why I didn't say KO is mainly
Yeah.
because that's how we had the trade to begin with.
Mhm. Oh, true, yeah. That's right.
So I feel like it wouldn't really make sense to use KO as like
Mhm.
a trading partner again because
Yeah.
KO is always being used like that. So I feel like it really wouldn't make sense for them to do that. That's why I didn't
Right.
include him. But there's
Uh,
nobody else really there. Like I'm looking at the roster right now. Like I mentioned, AJ Styles doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
Even if you tried doing something like Baron Corbin, that really wouldn't make any sense because he's not at the same level as Jay Uso. Like when you do a trade, obviously Adam Pierce wants somebody that's like at an equal level than a Jay's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm giving you Jay. I want someone that's like around the same level as him.
Baron
And
Corbin. It's like,
so yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Like LA Knight is
Mhm.
honestly the only person I can see. And Shinsuke Nakamura for Jay doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, realistically, he is at that level, but the way that he's booked, he's not. And I'm looking
Exactly.
at the roster, and the only one that makes sense that I'm looking at if they do a trade is LA Knight.
Well, trade
And
LA
I and
Knight
I
for
always
Jay.
and
Do
I
it.
always felt like LA Knight should have been on Raw to begin with in the draft, only
Yeah.
because it gives him a new playing field. He's dealt with everybody on SmackDown. And I just feel like he has more opportunities on Raw. Like, okay, you got the World Heavyweight Championship there, a title
Mhm.
that Knight actually has a chance to win, or you even have the IC title there that has a better prestige than it did before. LA Knight could easily go after that and make something special out of that title.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
especially
many
since
things
he's
that you
not
can
doing the
do.
US title thing, so it's like,
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah.
and people are gonna be like, oh, well, I thought the plan was to do LA Knight and Logan Paul at like SummerSlam, because people were talking about that rumored match. You can
Yeah.
easily do that. You can easily do Carmelo and Logan Paul at SummerSlam, and I'd be completely
Mhm.
okay with that. I honestly think I might want to see that a little bit more, just because I know what Melo's capable of, and I know what Logan's capable of, and they could probably put on a pretty damn good match. And I
Yeah.
just feel like Melo with a US title for the time being until he moves up to the world title, I feel like that US title would look great on him.
Yeah. And I mean, I know we're going into a tangent here a little bit, everybody, but you know what?
Yeah,
We got time anyways, so like it's fine. But
yeah.
the thing is, though, it's like
Well,
the
yet again, it
whole
is prediction, so it
exactly,
does make yeah,
exactly. Yeah. But like
yeah,
the whole thing is like we've been talking about this LA Knight Logan Paul match for the US title for months now, and yet we still haven't even gotten the hint of it again. Like ever
yeah,
since that what was it? It was the fatal four-way match, or what, when was it? No, it was since freaking Money in the Bank last year, because Logan
yep.
Paul was in that. And like we had the line from LA Knight of like, oh, making YouTube videos for 14-year-old girls and all that. Like, because that was the moment like people were just like, oh yeah, no, we need this.
Hmm.
Like we
I
need
also
this
I
match.
also thought of something else too.
Hmm.
You could also continue a potential storyline with like Logan Paul and Jay down the road as well because of what happened on Monday. It makes a lot of
Yeet.
sense.
Exactly. Like
'Cause
that could finally be Jay's singles title, you know,
mhm,
beating Logan Paul. Like, because that's the thing. Like, I don't mind Logan Paul being the US champion because like he at least does stuff with it outside of the company. Like he, at least from what I've seen, he does have it at least on his podcast with him whenever he does it.
yeah.
Like
Not
he's
just
posing with
go
it when he's going places. Like it's not like he's
and
just not doing anything.
yeah.
So, but yeah, but so back to our prediction. So like, I think we're both kind of in agreement that Damian Priest is going to walk out with this because I think the other thing too is like the other story, the other side of all this that we haven't even touched based on is the whole thing with like Finn, like the whole Finn card here, and like the whole thing with like Priest in the Judgment Day, because like we're even seeing cracks in them. Like their unit is probably not going to be much long for this universe.
Mhm.
I mean, we're getting signs of Dom possibly cheating on mommy. There's that.
Oh
There's
yeah, that's
Finn constantly looking at that world title.
that I
There's
hope he wins.
oh God, please, please. Even if it's just a short reign, I want Finn on top again. And then poor JD just taking every single hit for the Judgment Day. Like he even had a tweet, or it was either a tweet or it was on Instagram stories, but it was something where it's just like, I've taken blow and blow and hit for hit, and I've taken all this abuse for the Judgment Day, and yet Judgment Day hasn't done anything for me. Maybe it's time to rethink something. Like it was something along the lines of that. So like there's tension within the group. And ever
Hmm.
since mommy hasn't been around, like they haven't been able to be a unit. And yeah, I'm curious how that's even going to play into this match, because I think Damien's gonna be by himself in this match. Like he didn't ask for their help. He's not gonna want their help because he's kind of done with their BS. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, but again, I think we're both saying Priest for this match, and of course our WWE Undisputed Title match: Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles. I think we've kind of answered this question throughout the night. Cody Rhodes walking out with this title. It's kind of a guaranteed conclusion with that
Oh
part,
yeah.
but I think the main thing with this match is it's not necessarily the winner of this match. It's more so the journey to getting to that eventual Cody win, because this has potential to be match of the night. If not, it could be match of the year if they give it like a good time.
Hmm.
And I mean, just knowing how good AJ Styles is and how much better Cody's gotten throughout the years, this has some potential. This won't have to be a potential, man. Nah, this could be it. This could be the one in WWE. Man. But hey, that was SmackDown. Those were our predictions. Everybody in the chat, what do you think's going to happen? Hopefully, you think it's going to be a good night of the wrestling, or a good afternoon, actually, because again, it comes on at 1 in the afternoon for us here on the East Coast. But
Hmm.
yeah, again, any final thoughts before we end up logging off here?
I pretty much gave all my thoughts throughout the show, especially with the little tangents we went on. So I said what I
Mhm.
had to say.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of a shorter episode this time around, but like again, we didn't get too much going on. We're ending that period, I think, of where we're ending the epilogue period, basically. So yeah, I mean, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I
So
feel
I
like next
just
week for sure is gonna be a
mhm.
lot better.
Oh yeah, like I feel like after tomorrow we're gonna know a few more things and where we're gonna be going with a lot of things. Um but yeah, I mean, I'm still quite satisfied, and hopefully you all were as well. And just want to go out and give you a shout. Thank you guys so much for taking time of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, why not check out all of our social media accounts, all of our team members? All of those will be in the description on YouTube. If you're on Twitch, well, we do have links in our About Me section, and um, if you follow us, you'll get notified every time we go live, whether it's with Weebs of the Ring or it's with our video game segments that will be starting up here again soon. But make sure you do all those fun things that the algorithm just loves, not only for you to do, but loves to hear us say and talk about. So yeah, we are known as AniMa W3 Studios on all social media platforms. Just remember that's we with a 3. And be sure to use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us about anything regarding wrestling before, during, or after our shows. I'll probably be live streaming, or not live streaming, sorry, live tweeting the event. So look out for that on the old Twitter machine. But hey, feedback is also always appreciated as we are nothing without you, and we want to get better and continue getting better for you right out there. Weebs of the Ring is presented by AniMa W3 Studio. Thanks to our production team of Vash, Watkins, Drop This Box, Rome with a Dot, and Jokester, as well as special thanks to JB and Abe. Thank you for joining us, and remember, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. And I'm sorry I didn't learn any more French for today other than what I learned from Dexter's Laboratory, which was omelette du fromage. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good one.